Carvalho see? You are staring at a huge mountain, right? A massive, tall order sits ahead of you. Not only are you playing against a player that many consider one of the best, maybe not the best matchup, but maybe it's close.
And I mean, keep in mind, now currently might just be the best player, right? I mean, think about it, because all the other people that are in that conversation, you know, they're doing other things. So Paulo might just legitimately be the best player, and
that's a good point.
And Marcio is now facing what, again, I think, you know, Paulo feeling like this was probably like stable matchup, 3 matches in a row. I mean, just mathematics.
Gets $150,000 and first gets $300,000. Hard to fathom when you're sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there might be a lot of dreams about winning that fight. But right now, you have to stay focused. You have to be in the zone. He's been in spots like this before. What we've seen already. He play around a potential Cavalier Flame off the top because he knew he had the resources, but that would have looked a bit more Marshall could have top decked something for the win.
That's right. You know, he's only lost 1 match this entire weekend, so to say he's dialed in would be an understatement. Remembering back over the course of this event, so many great players, he had to play against a bunch of them, and he has just cruised through this field. I wonder if he started to feel a little bit like this one's mine. You know, it is my time to shine because, you know, Paulo, he's one of the last Mr. Championships. He's got Brian Kibler was talking about the last time that he played in a pro tour here, and he beat Paulo in the finals. So Paulo, you know, he's seen it from this.
Not take anything for granted here. He wants to end it here and now.
Let's see if he can do so, Paul. Peter Dominosa on the top part of your screen. That is Marcio Carvalho on the bottom. We're in the grand finals. 1 match could decide our world champion. Marcio Carvalho under his belt.
Sphinx start here for Marcio.
Trust me, you'll thank me later.
But Paulo has a fantastic hand here. You see the Dovin's veto, which is really, really nice.
No! I am not making this up as I go!
Answer to a can slam a Teferi Time Rambler here on turn 3. This is big.
Nice little 2-for-1 there for Paulo, but as you said, this is a big battlefield. It's such a pain for Paulo. It shuts off its counter spells, which he doesn't like.
Right.
Because he can just run out Narset for reveals here.
Yeah, but this is a great start here for Marcio. Now he has a Teferi in play, doesn't have to worry about counter magic. Next turn, he's going to go Fires of Invention into Sphinx of Foresight.
Hey, this is huge. This is exactly what this deck is designed to do. Then start playing 5s. Now, he does have another Sphinx, no 5 at the moment, but still.
Now, Paulo needs to find a way to answer a multitude of threats. Of course, Fires of Revenge. Go for it as he plays.
Joining us and you're wondering why three circles below his graphic and Paulo has two. That's because Paulo moved straight to the finals where Marcio had to fight from the lower section of our bracket. He's got the luxury of only needing two.
And Paulo, it looks like he's deciding between Teferi and probably Fires of Invention, and actually going for the Teferi here. Oh, but another Teferi here for Marcio.
So Marcio is going to take care of Narset Parter of Veils. And we're going to see Teferi Time Raveler again hit the battlefield here.
He just wants
going to cycle it, yeah.
It just wants to make sure he hits his land drops.
Still another very good turn here for Marcio. He's managed to take the other side while also putting 8 power in the air. And he keeps passing the turn back to Paulo.
Paulo really wanted to stand just to get his 2 4/4s off the battlefield.
Yeah, would have been really nice. Instead, he's going to have to settle for Archon of Sun's Grace, but he can leave up. Now he can't. He's like waving at me in the Don't forget about me.
Now Paulo, with the Arcana Sun's Grace, he doesn't even have an enchantment in hand. He's going to have to hope to find Elspeth Conquer that. That would probably be one of the best draws.
There's Cavalier Flame, but he's still on 4 wins here.
Yep.
Does he actually want that in his hand? Looks like so.
Yeah, I think he wants the threat in hand, and now, given that he has the 2 Sphinxes in play, very likely to find one over the course of the game. He's got to play a lot. Yeah, the problem with attacking with just one creature is that Paulo's deck has a lot of ways to just get one creature off the battlefield, right? If Paulo plays Teferi, Vanish, Elspeth, Conquer Death, those would all get the others. Both not carrying Teferi or
Like the priority is flanking too many cards from Paulo in his list. Now, as we see, it's really only so, Sorceress. Again, this is very just knocking Paulo off.
Sorry I'm late.
He is sick and tired of Paulo bouncing.
Here we go.
In play, so he can have those extremely explosive starts that we know the Fires of Invention can have.
There's a Shadow in the Sky. Maybe too late. We see the Omen of the Sea come down, make a 2/2 Flying Pegasus. He actually put Absorb and a land on the bottom of his library. Normally, he'd love to see a card like Absorb. Once again, we need a little sign for Teferi that says that.
Teferi Narset both.
Yeah.
Back here, I mean, he's got lots of good options here. You can go with that. How would this week be?
But Marcio really doesn't have a choice but to overextend, right? When you're playing on that Archon, it's not.
I know my responsibility. I've got time.
Cavalier of Flame now has a clean attack where it wouldn't have before necessarily. The Sphinxes of Foresight, they're likely going to have to just stay home. I don't think he wants to trade them off or leave Teferi. I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm real wrong.
Well, this
He's
is a
gonna
lethal
with
attack.
everything, so it forces a block.
This is a lethal attack, so now Paulo has to block this Sphinx of Foresight if he wants to trade, but it looks like he's going to go for the Cavalier, which should tell Marcio.
Big signal
you can
here.
see the look in his, you can kind of tell by his body language. He kind of sees the Shattered Sky coming, because that is the only reason why Paulo would block in that fashion.
So Paulo maintains a relatively healthy 11, like he was just attacking.
Just the trick for this.
Now Paulo has a choice between Omen of the Sea and Thirst for Meaning, though it looks like he's more interested in Thirst at this point. Now that the Archon's gone, he's not getting the Pegasus off of it for free anymore. But the sort of forced play here Shatter.
Marcio needs a land off the top here. Both Cavalier and Dream Trawler give his team haste for a lethal attack. Marcio wants a land here.
If he hits a land, he's got it.
He can't fight, he needs mana.
Oh, he hit it. Cavalier Gales, is that
That should be enough. That should be enough. Cavalier
Yeah.
Flame plus Cavalier Gales is lethal. Wow.
I don't need to discard anything because I've got the double trouble here. Cavalier Gales, Cavalier Flame, and that is game number 1 going to Marcio Carvalho. He's on the board.
Big win here for Marcio. Still so much work to go, but this is the step in the right direction for him.
Huge draws down the strip, down the stretch for Marcio Carvalho. He is finally on the board with a game win now. He is going to need to win another one to even things up at 1. At this point, a lot of wins there for Paulo. Get it going
Very into Fires of Invention, into Sphinx. I mean, he just put way too much pressure on Paulo.
He grabbed all of his creatures and we're like, they're all attacking you. It was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
That was a sweet game. And now we're going to go to sideboards. See if there's just like a plan in place for our players, or if they're adjusting to what the other person's doing post-board, maybe even mixing things up a little bit. You know, when you get to play somebody over and over and over, also match, and this is the 3rd time they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could see that being the case for Paulo. I think with Marcio, there's a few cards that are just obvious cuts, right? You have the Deafening Clarions, you have the Ether Gusts.
Right.
Those are definitely being sideboarded out. And then maybe a couple of flex slots. But I think Paulo, at that point, kind of realized what cards are coming in and kind of make a game plan based around it.
Two players as far as mixing cards on the battlefield. Here's one off the top of the library. Because this game could slip away very quickly if he doesn't keep and there it is. It's actually a great land too. It gives him access to white, which he didn't have before.
Right, and now he has the ability to cast Teferi with Mystical Dispute backup.
Beautiful stuff here for Carvalho. Exactly what he needed to see. Land into untapped white source, just perfect. Teferi Time Raveler on the stack. This is a Mystical Dispute here. Oh, and Paulo can pay, can't he? Pay the only 1 mana here, and then it's available, so it's actually going to work.
What's interesting is if Marcio just plays Sphinx of Foresight, those Ether Gusts will not do a whole lot.
Land number 5 hits the battlefield, but Paulo, with nothing on the other side of the battlefield, says, your move, I got Omen of the Sea.
Marcio continues to switch off the top here.
And he's just going to run out Teferi Time Raveler again. And unless Paulo can find an answer with Omen of the Sea, it will resolve. So let's see what he can find.
Yeah, Mystical Dispute, Absorb, Dovin's Veto. Plenty of cards here.
He could see up to 3 cards deep. Oh, interesting. He didn't find it, at least in the top 2. Now the question is, yeah, it looks like he does say, no, I really do need to find it. If he puts Omen of the Sea on the bottom, he's drawn a random card off the top of his library. He has no idea what it might be.
Yeah, the argument for keeping Omen of the Sea on top is basically you're maybe committing yourself to casting Omen of the Sea and hoping to find a mystical dispute.
Yeah, that is one of the things you can find. Let's see if he can. Library, Omen of the Sea number 2. He needs a mystical dispute to keep this Teferi Time Raveler off the battlefield. Can he find it? Actually, yeah.
He does, but Marcio is this time and Paulo is not paying.
Wow, and he doesn't know he has it, does he?
I assume Paulo just kind of knows all the contents of his opponent's hands. Like, it's just kind of face up, so...
When Paulo sits down to play on Arena, all their cards have little
Right,
eyeball on it.
exactly.
It's just... Sorry, you got matched
They're
up
just
against
this
Paulo.
matrix, and he's just like, you got this, this, and this. Based on how you played, okay, I know you have this.
I mean, he played that way, so I can understand why you feel that way,
He's
Paul.
been doing it the entire tournament. Bad shot nice here on Teferi, and Marcio has more options here. He has a disenchant here, and also just another Teferi in hand.
Vanishing Light.
Trigger on the stack, getting it off the board.
Different time round against
Yeah, and this prevents Paulo from having some kind of counterspell here to fight that disenchant, because Teferi is on the board.
Right, of course. Because normally you would actually like your Teferi to get there.
I'm known for my excellent timing.
Marcio is very in play, because now Paulo can't interact with the Fires of Invention this turn, and Marcio can go fires into threat.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Fire of Foresight. Personally, to have it all for a while, right? Now, this is a big deal.
That's more like it.
Death conquers death and Teferi Time Raveler. He also has enough mana for both Elspeth and Ether Dust.
Yeah. I mean, that looks like the very attractive play here. The fact that being able to play 2 spells, 2 reactive spells, you can go Elspeth Conquers Death, get that Sphinx of Foresight or Teferi off the battlefield, and also use Ether Gust on the fires.
So let's see what he wants to do. Here comes Elspeth Conquers Death. What is going by Teferi? You've done enough work this game. Exiled. Now land on the battlefield with Paulo with his Ether Gust.
And keep in mind, has the Fires of Invention in play, which says you can only get
Paulo's gonna look. Now we're
Marcio might not care. He does have an extra fires in hand. Now Marcio's thinking, well,
Might be a bad idea.
Invention, or do I just want more stress? Because right now, Marcio is
My prowess keep an open mind.
Invention on the bottom. He drew Kendrick the Return King for the turn. Has library to draw from going forward. Again, just the most annoying card for Paulo Vitor. He's got to be sick of seeing that thing on the other side, but that's of course why Marcio has fought so hard to keep Teferi around. In the meantime, what do you find? Oh, he did find another Elspeth Conquers. You were saying at the time, but now he's right.
big draw here for Paulo. And to get another Teferi off the battlefield here if he wants. He's got access to 7 mana.
That makes me nervous just thinking about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Into Dross that Ether Dust on fires.
Yeah, that does mean he needs to get rid of having to do it, especially because that's Teferi plus. So I think he's we're just gonna see
if you're on Marcio's side, it's kind of interesting. Paulo just has one card left in hand. I think you might just want to run the aggressive beatdown plan here.
Okay. I mean, he's looking at mystical. Kenrith. He has a land drop to hit. Yeah, he's going to do that. There's very much a tempo exchange happening here. The players are very...
That also allows Marcio to tap out to cast the Kenrith, keep everything hasty.
So here we go. Attacking into
You show remorse, I'll show respect. Trust me, I have a plan.
Chapter 3, another one going to Chapter 2.
Chooses to keep the 0/4 creature ramp instead of yeah, but things looking great here for Marcio. Paulo needs to find some answers. Oftentimes we always say shatter the sky, but just additional removal effects.
Oh wow, that Elspeth Conquers Death had no targets.
Oh. Yeah, Paulo in trouble here.
He really is. This is a Teferi Time Raveler that he needs to find something off of because his life total is under much pressure at the moment.
Really wants to shatter the sky here off Teferi.
So is he just going to return Elspeth Conquers Death?
Yeah, but he can't even cast it unless he finds an untapped land.
Yeah, that's right. Temple of Enlightenment is tapped. So let's.
But yeah, he does do it.
Oh, wow. So now the question is not level of power or how he's going to answer things, is does he have enough time to deploy Elspeth Conquers Death?
Right. And Marcio, I wonder if Marcio should have actually considered playing that land untapped. He's at 18, and right now, Scry 2 might be more valuable because that digs you deeper to find potentially a bigger creature for a lethal attack. He needs to make sure he keeps up red mana.
Yeah, he's being very careful there. Another Scry 2, so he is...
Anything here will do it. Anything big here will do it.
It's a 5
bottom,
so he's
bottom.
Draw. He needs to find one of his big payoff cards to get the job done against Paulo while the shields are down.
Here it is.
Oh, it's a land off the
and Paulo will be able to Elspeth Conquers Death.
7, right?
Oh, it is 7.
Can't he just kill the wall?
No, the Elspeth Conquers Death only kills 3 or greater.
3 or greater, and then that's 0.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the meantime, that means that he's...
Yeah, so now we have Omen of the Sea, we have access to Elspeth Find here. 8 mana.
He's a mana short.
So he would need
that plus Elspeth.
Right.
But the other card he saw was another copy of Omen of the Sea. But remember, this is the Scry, so he's only going to get
right. You can choose to keep Omen of the Sea just to see if you can find the Shatter of the Sky.
Right.
Because Elspeth Conquers Death by itself will not do it.
He's going to go bottom. He knows what he needs here. Are we going to see the upkeep Scry 2 as well? He will have enough mana to cast it. No, he's going to draw it. It's Ether Gust. That's not good enough.
No, that's not. He's dead.
He's just dead on board?
Yeah, Marcio.
Does he have a blocker? Yeah,
no, that's it. Marcio's going to take this match.
Wow, 2-0 for Marcio Carvalho as he moves one step closer to this insane comeback. Both players have won a match, and now we've got one match to win for Paulo or two more for Marcio before we crown our champion.
This is the beginning of the comeback. This is what he needed. Now, he's only got to win two, right? Every
How
time
hard
you
can
do
it
it,
be?
that's it, right? You just one at a time, right? All you got to do is just keep winning. And he was able to do that, you know, and he had some amazing draws that time around, and Paulo wasn't able to find those sweepers in those games. So, you know, again, you know, this is magic. Anything can happen. And Marcio picking up a really extremely crucial win here.
It really
two more to go.
I mean, that's how you have to do these things. Say one step at a time. So, right now we get in there. Maybe Paulo has a bad draw or mulligans, or things just go well for me. Maybe I make a really sweet play, and it's like one more match. And, you know, when you get to that point, you think, I can win a match, right? Like anything goes when it's down to one match, right? Gather yourself. You've still got a big advantage. Short break. When we come back, we'll have here.
full of over a dozen 1- and 2-drop creatures will get the party started fast and put the pressure on your enemy. You'll be attacking into the red zone really quickly, and then Torbrand will come down to deal even more damage with those creatures if they don't get the job the first time. Pummel them into submission. And just when your opponent thinks they're safe, Ember Cleave them. Yah! Next, we've got Flash of Ferocity. This Simic Flash style deck can be played almost entirely on your opponent's turn. Untap, upkeep, draw, and just say go. Your opponent will know what you're doing, flashing cards like Brazen Borrower or Frilled Mystic to counter their spells while amassing an army of creatures along the way. If you like tempo-y style gameplay, playing some creatures, countering some spells, attacking for some damage, then this is the deck for you. It'll really keep your opponent right on their toes. There are 4 great challenger decks this year, and no matter what player you are, so go check them out and hit stores on April 3rd, pick one up, play it in an FNF, and in the meantime, I hope you all enjoy it.
Everything counts. Professionals take the stage. Alienware is the proud sponsor of the Magic the Gathering World Championship number 26. Get 10% off a gaming PC with the code AW Mythic Worlds on Alienware.com. Hi everybody, welcome back. Maria Bartholdi and Brian Kibler here. One apiece in each column for Paulo and Marcio.
Sort of, because Paulo already starts with 1.
That's
right?
true.
So we need to keep in mind Paulo was coming from practice to win 2 matches. So 1 more for him, he wins. 2 more for Marcio, he wins.
Uphill battle for Marcio here, big time. But let's take a look back at match 1, where Paulo went 2-0 over Marcio. In case you missed any of the action, we are here with you to relive the moments. Here we go.
I mean, this was really kind of just textbook exactly what Paulo wants his deck to do. You know, he was able to end up just getting ahead with his Planeswalkers and with the powerful removal of permanents, even with the Fire's Invention on the board, thanks to
And look at that hand! It's the stuff dreams are made of, speaking of dream trawler. And what an amazing card.
It is though, you know, interestingly enough, Paulo is playing the deck that sideboards it out of this matchup simply because there are just some this guy Fire's deck plays itself. So, you know, this is actually his sideboard strategy that we saw in action in game number 2 of that match. Archon of Sun's Grace.
I love it! I love this card.
Tap out, make your Pegasus, you put your opponent on a tremendous well, Marcy's about to get run over by all those Pegasi, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or, second match, which Marcy was able to win, crucially, because otherwise we would be done here.
Yes.
You know, he actually had Deafening Clarion after sideboarding, which is typically a card that you don't expect to see in the matchup against blue-white, but very important to clear off a board like this one that took Paulo to victory in the first match.
All right, so that is Paulo winning match number 1. Marcio took match number 2, so that means you're on to match number 3. And like you said, if Paulo wins this match, he will be your world champion. If not, they will play another match, and it will be down to that. And so far today, things have been kept exciting for us.
We've seen game 3 of match 3 in all of our best of 3 matches. I would be surprised, given how things have gone, if we don't go the distance here.
All right, let's find out what happens.
There are so many mysteries to uncover.
And Brian, welcome back to the desk.
Hone your prowess.
And, well, we're working our way right through this thing. The big question marks coming up are, can Marcio keep it? That's it. That's what this is all about at this point, because if he can't, we're done here. We're hitting the trophy to Paulo.
Yeah, and some key points over the course of that last match. Very time-rapid, just making things so difficult for Paulo. You saw Paulo always looking to get that very time-rapid other permanents in play. You know, the number one thing is getting that thing off the battlefield and deal with all the other stuff later.
That's right. Players just getting seated again in our feature match area here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Once again, the way that things have panned out thus far, if you're just tuning in, is one match apiece for each of our competitors. Marcio just won the most recent match, and our opening match was won by Paulo Vitor. The thing you need to know, though, Paulo
Meditate and prepare.
Decent hands for both players here. Paulo very likely to find an here to be able to cast that absorb with the.
I am not going to sit this one out. Here goes nothing.
You kind of the true power of Sphinx. Because the Sphinx really helps you find exactly what it is that you need to vary Fire's Invention. And Marcio also with that kind of time.
Given the nature of a 16-player field, these players actually have played against each other already. The only person to beat Paulo is Marcio.
Yeah. And then again.
All right, so a slow start for our players here. Just getting lands under them. Scryline Temple of Enlightenment.
Paulo found the land immediately, so now has a tough choice. Does he want to just bottom tip?
Don't worry, I got
this.
this.
Compared to important enough to keep it on top.
And of course, what fairies in this one. The way that Paulo had to fight through, over, and all of that in the last round, it really shows how important that card is.
Yeah, but with the thing with Marcio, pressure trying on turn 3, getting underneath those absorbs. that's why he chose to keep that Bone Crusher guidance on top instead of choosing to
Speaking of Bone Crusher, one off the top of the library after Stomp gets cast on Apollo's step. Here we go, Bone Crusher onto the battlefield. This thing's going to resolve. We're going to see Omen of the Sea from Apollo before the turn cycle's over, but that's a 4-3.
Right.
That matters.
And the interaction, even with Teferi, is pretty favorable, right? Because if you cast Teferi and bounce the Bone Crusher Giant, well, then you can just stomp the Teferi and get it off the battlefield.
Almost feels like just putting a...
Right. I mean, he might do it anyways just as a tempo play to kind of develop his board, and if Marcio did go for the stomp, then he wouldn't be able to play the Bone Crusher Giant that turn.
Yeah. Now, you've played a lot of control decks in your day. This is not where you want to be. Paulo just had to play an untapped land to try to keep up his absorb. Now, he has Thirst for Meaning as well, but he's taking big hits. He's already down to 10.
Yeah, yeah. As a control player, you don't really want anything to ever absorb. You have the immediate answer, really. Now, Marcio is aware of the potential absorb here, but it looks like he's going to just try to get that absorb out of Paulo's hand. Given that Paulo doesn't have a Wrath, I mean, I think he just has to cast the absorb here.
Yeah, he really does. And this is an interesting play because on one hand, you might be thinking Marcio's like, oh, shoot, he had the absorb. But what he also does is force Paulo to have it. And then if he does, force him to cast it. Right. Where now, Paulo didn't get to cast Thirst for Meaning.
I wonder if Paulo's now going to just slam the other here and then hope the next turn isn't too bad so that he can start making a bunch of tokens.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Marcio wants to see a Fires of Invention real bad, but he doesn't. That said, he can cast a Sphinx of Foresight or even a Cavalier of Flame, it looks like.
Yeah, but Paulo has a really nice sequence. He can go Omen of the Sea to make a 2/2 lifelinker. Additionally, he can play Teferi to bounce a large threat if Marcio plays one this turn.
Now, does he just have to take another hit here from the Giant?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not making that trade for sure.
Back down to 9.
Cavalier here, maybe the Sacred Foundry out of hand, or just run out the Sphinx, play a land tapped.
Just wants to play the Sphinx of Foresight this time. And tap it to get those scries coming on his upkeep to help him find one action.
Yeah, but this means that Paulo, again, has that really good turn. He can just play Teferi, bounce Sphinx of Foresight, draw a card, run out Omen of the Sea, and all of a sudden, you know, you have 5 power and lifelinker, flyers ready to go.
Shields would be up. Here comes Teferi Time Raveler now for Paulo Vitor. Now we've seen Teferi be very good against Paulo, also very good against Teemo Reclamation over the weekend. It's done decent work against Marcio, but it's not the end-all that it is in some of the other matchups.
If Marcio is just kind of playing out one overcosted creature turn over turn, you know, it's very easy for Paulo to handle those, right? You know, he's got Teferi, he's got Vanishing Light, all that. It's those turns where, you know, you have fires in play, you can play a creature for free, and then have all the mana to pump your team, give them haste, draw cards, those are the explosive. So, you know, despite, you know, Marcio being ahead on life total, I mean, Paulo kind of has a lot of the tools available in hand to fight this.
It is funny, if I told you, okay, you're playing a control deck and my game plan is to tap out every turn for a big threat, you'd be like, yes. Do that.
Sign me up.
Yes, I like that matchup. But of course, in this particular case, when Fires of Invention comes, it changes everything.
And Marcio decided whether or not he wants to go to the face or kill Teferi. I mean, killing Teferi is pretty nice good. You're not really the Archon of Sun's Grace in this play, but you know, maybe he's concerned about Paulo playing a second Teferi anyways next turn, and if he's concerned about that, then maybe, you know, he doesn't care too much about a Teferi that's on 1.
Seems like he's really in the tank here, Paul. He Paulo could be the difference. And he doesn't want to make a mistake. And boy, he really was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
He decides to attack Paulo. Paulo falls down to just 8 life. And we're going to see Omen of the Sea, which is going to create a Pegasus as well as the Scry 2 draw card. Once that ability resolves.
Yeah, and if Paulo wants, you know, he can use effects to the Dream Trawler, and Marcio would have to discard a card to give it hexproof, but it does tap it, which allows you to kind of get through for some damage. Weighing his options here, it looks like there's a Birth of Meletis. He was kind of hovering over the Birth of Meletis, but by playing the Birth of Meletis, now you have enough features that imply that you can actually.
It's quite a luxury.
Trawler doesn't seem especially good. I mean, Paulo probably just chump blocks because Paulo also, of course, has the option.
Attacking both Crusher Giants going to send it up to very time round. Meanwhile, it's going upstairs.
So Paulo, is he going to go for the double block here on the Dream Trawler to get it off the battlefield? Yep, that's what he's going to do. Yeah, the alternative was to put the creature in front of him. So that's the side.
But it looks like Paulo very much. And but in the process, he's going to lose. Life doesn't like plus for Paulo. He doesn't lose any life that turn at all.
Marcio still needs to be kind of aware of
Force, Sphinx of Force.
then we're not
Order.
He is aware of the card Mystical Dispute, and
it's
now
going to get
it's so big.
disputed, and watch his
Absolutely.
face. He's not going to be happy about this one little bit. It's third for me.
This isn't a fight you can win. I've got it.
Here, though, so he does need to want something here. I mean, again, the fairy that he has will buy him a lot of time. Foresight, very, very big here.
There goes Sphinx of Foresight. Cavalier Acclaim, Sphinx of Foresight. Foresight number 2 in hand now. On what he can add to the board since he hasn't been able to find his key card, Firestorm.
Let's try this.
You feel like you will have the opportunity to cast it and sacrifice it for the side effects. It is good. He's in the market to find some threats here because he already has a third again. So, you know, he's going to be able to cycle through those.
pressure's very real here from Marcio Carvalho. He has played a very fair game. And pressure. This guy has a lot right. Marcio's not done yet after that.
Yeah, you can follow that up with a Kenrith, give it haste, attack.
He finds Dovin's Veto a reactive card, not what he really what he wants to see at this point.
Yeah, not against that Kenrith that Marcio has in hand.
Right.
So Paulo does have the option here of ticking up Teferi and casting that Shatter to Sky at instant speed. Kind of hope Marcio overextends, which Marcio likely won't. But this also means cast Shatter to Sky end of turn. Leave all of Marcio's mana stranding.
Yeah, that threat, right? Just
Right.
the threat of doing that, and we, by the way, respect that multiple times, just means that Marcio doesn't get to use his mana for the turn unless he's okay being wrong and extending into the Shatter. He doesn't want to do it, he knows.
Oh? Maybe?
Paulo sitting there with his hand on his head with the 2 Pegasus ready to block, but in reality, we're going to see this Shatter the Sky.
Now,
Can he lure in Carvalho?
I mean, he is well aware of the fact that Shattered Sky might be cast. The
Absolutely.
reason why he's doing this is to force the Shattered Sky here.
Okay, well, it's going to benefit Paulo, because if he needed to force the issue, fine, but that's going to get another card off the battlefield with the Shatter the Sky.
Right, but now Paulo doesn't have the option of block, cast at end of turn.
That's right. So he loses some life there, and there's a Fabled Passage going into hand. No more plays available now for Marcio Carvalho. These are projects here for Paulo.
Lots of scries here. Ooh, that's a good one. Thirst for meaning here allows him to push through those.
Right here and right now. And let's see what he finds. Narset, Birth of Meletus, and a Hollowed Fountain. He gets rid of Birth of Meletus. He's going to play Narset, so he's still actually on the hunt here.
Yeah. But this is exactly what he's looking for here. He's got the Narset. Now he wants to find, Elspeth Conquers Death, Shatter the Sky, Absorb.
Absorb's good
Absorb
here,
is
too.
huge.
Yeah, I mean, these are big that he has the veto and Absorb because of
I can no longer stand by and watch. I'll protect you.
Cavalier off the flame off the top. Even if it resolves, it won't be enough.
Oh, and look at this. Another Shatter of the Sky, so he gets himself an insurance plan against that.
Yeah, and I think he's got an instant speed Shatter the Sky. And Elspeth Conquers Death.
Finally fires some attention to
He's even asking himself, do I care about this?
Right. Does it matter at this point? Drawing a couple more cards. Activations over and over again.
Here goes nothing.
He's ready.
This monster just running in Cavalier.
He knows about the Shatter. He does get a card back. It's not too fast.
Right, but of course we know Paulo's got the Elspeth Conquers Death. Oh my
Oh, wow. And also it's worth noting here, Paul, that the way that the turn played out for Marcio is that he can't actually give his capital.
Paulo does have that Archon in his grave. Get that back. Once we go to chapter 3 from
That is going to do it for game number 1. Paulo Vitor Damarosa gets the job done. Wow.
one more game.
One step closer.
One more game for Paulo.
Chat's pointing out, by the way, that another angle there we were talking about. But also normally you can discard some cards and draw some more, but there was a Narset, so Marcio just had to say, okay, I guess I'll just let that trigger resolve and not do anything. That's gotta feel bad.
Yeah, Narset fairly and very bad against Cavalier Games.
Yes. Okay, so that is one game to the he is now.
Oh, and look at this, by the way. Paulo boarding out almost all of his counter magic. No Dovin's Vetoes, no absorbs, and kind of turning himself more into a tap-out control deck here. And I think a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that Teferi is a thing. There's a Tide Taker that Marcio's looking to board in. You're on the draw, right? So Legion War bosses might just have more active answers.
Super interesting. Fight against Teferi. It looks like he's decided, I just don't want to deal with it anymore.
That was a good mulligan, though. That was a very clunky hand. Now he's on the play, and he's got double Legion Warboss with Mystical Dispute.
Let's see if Paulo's going to keep this. Also, a little bit clunky. He's got the Omen of the Sea to help us. That was a key for him. He is fighting for his tournament life here. Paulo wins this. Champion, and by this I mean his king of the Magic 3. And it could be this game right here, right now.
Yeah. And
okay, you can see a plan here.
No, I mean, yeah, you're just going to go for the turn 3 Warboss,
yeah.
the turn 4 Warboss with Mystical Dispute, and just kind of hope you don't have already has an answer in the Glass Casket to the first Legion Warboss. That might be.
Thirst for meaning, so plenty of cards are going to get seen by Paulo Vitor. The question is, can Marcio apply enough pressure? Casket that actually does so.
But he's kind of a step behind every turn, right? Because this turn, he's going to run out the Omen of the Sea. He's going to Glass Casket the Legion Warboss. There's still that annoying token in play. And then on the following turn, Marcio's going to have another Legion Warboss that Paulo has to deal with.
Let's slow this down. Let's try this.
Speaking of affecting the board, it does do that. So he's considering it, but it looks like Teferi's going to go on the bottom. Oh, no, maybe not. He definitely wants to land. He's going to keep both. So Castle Ardenvale goes into hand.
This might be a bad idea.
The things are going to get really interesting here because Marcio has options on another Warboss or Fires of Invention or both.
He's going to go Fires into Warboss here. And Paulo has to find something for that Legion Warboss.
He will fall way too back if it goes unchecked for a couple of turns here.
So yeah, he's actually choosing Fires here. Thinking of Mystical or potential Teferi Time Raveler or
yeah, it may backfire slightly for him here because I think the disadvantage counter that. So this is a very good draw here.
Huge draw.
Takes care of it, leaving just the 2 1-1s. Now those will be annoying, but those aren't going to win the game on
Want me to phase you out of time?
Library to take care of the second copy of Legion Warboss and steps one step closer to being a champion. As it stands, Marcio's still ahead. He's the one with the 2 1-1s chipping away. He has Fires of Invention in his hand, and anything goes once Fires of Invention's on the battlefield. Although now that I say that, he's not.
I'll protect you.
Mystical Dispute to give himself the opportunity to describe.
Talking about finding answers for these ones. Castle Vantress sees Temple of Triumph as well.
I wonder if Marcio is just going to go for stomp Bone Crusher Giant with Mystical Dispute up, or just hard cast Bone Crusher Giant with Mystical Dispute up, because if you have that, you can also counter Shatter the Sky.
He's just going for the Bone Crusher Giant.
And this basically telegraphs that Marcio very likely has Mystical Dispute here.
It does feel, though, like if you're Paulo, you don't really have a lot of choice here. So he's just going to Ether Gust. And Marcio actually just lets that happen. Now we're going to see Omen of the Sea. Is Mystical Dispute going to hit this? This is not a key card, but Paulo's behind and needs to find something. And it looks like Marcio is going to get very aggressive with his counter. Very aggressive. Mystical Dispute was a draw there for Paulo. He has not hit his land drops in a couple of turns, and it's starting to show.
That's precisely why Marcio countered that Omen of the Sea.
Don't see that very often.
Time for Plan B.
I said that they wouldn't go the distance.
Technically an answer to the Goblin, but he does need to find some land, so yeah, looks like he's castle out there.
Don't make another move.
Wait, no, don't think about it.
Too slow.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
To Bone Crusher Giant. This also means that the top of the library is a very scary thing if you're sitting in Paulo's seat, because, you know, Marcio could just start ripping 5-drops and smashing here, and this game would be over very quickly.
Especially because it has to. So now you can go upkeep Scry. If you hit Kenrith, you can just play it and haste.
Yeah, this is not a good position for Paulo Beach. He's going to try to stem the bleeding by putting Bone Crusher Giant back in the hand with the very time round.
Paulo's going to go for the classic Frost and Ether Gust again on the Fires of Invention here.
Curious also, right now we're in Marcio's upkeep, and he's actually deciding if he wants to activate Castle Vantress. Right now, Paulo's just saying, what are you going to do?
If he goes for something, it's going to be pretty tough, because he's basically, you know, if Paulo goes for the Ether Gust there, then basically Marcio just won't have casting spells.
And he's just going to cold draw here. He finds that the Fairy Time Raveler, but is now the time. Follows. It is not. He has let that go. He'd rather leave up Mystical Dispute.
Alright, and now he's kind of forcing the issue.
I've got it.
Out most of his hard counters. No Dogan's Vetoes, no Absorbs. And Marcio has all the mana in the world here to pay for Mystical Dispute. This forces Paulo to cast this Ether Gust if he wants to interact with what Marcio has in play.
So it looks like he's going to do so. This is the win. Otherwise, Teferi will shut everything. Which is, well, I shouldn't say that. There is an Omen of the Sea, and perhaps
Get it.
as well.
Yeah, Paulo has a lot of the tools to kind of try to dig and claw and find the threat that he needs, but he's just always been kind of a step behind here.
He's going to use Mystical Dispute.
All right. I mean, I can't imagine Marcio not paying here.
He's got plenty of mana to pay. Now we're going to see their best. Is he thinking about killing one of the goblins? It's gotta be
No,
the
I
fires, right?
Yeah.
He was really thinking about it. I'm like, what's the choice of this one?
This is always an interesting decision. But we know, it's very obvious how concerned always is about fires. Do you want to keep the fires on top and make it so that you can really fully abuse the power of Castle Vantress and make sure you constantly draw gas every turn? Because when fires is playing,
Interesting to see the line of play from Paulo. Try to slow down Marcio because he knows how far behind.
wow, look at this. Using Teferi to bounce Banishing Light here. And, I mean, Paulo in a lot of trouble here.
He's in huge trouble. And we just saw him use Mystical Dispute against an opponent with 6 open mana. Now, what that does do is shut off the Castle Vantress activation for that. Paulo's just looking for every little edge he can get at this.
Paulo's got a Narset and the mana to find and cast Shatter the Sky. That's what you're going to see here. And he really needs to find it here if he wants to survive.
Here we go. Paulo Vita Domino Rosa. Twisting Narset. Got it.
Needs a Shatter the Sky.
Right now. Nope. It was Omen of the Sea.
Wow. So Banishing Light here on the Legion Warboss, and that's an attack for 7?
Ugh.
Could get the Bone Crusher Giant, but that would still be an attack for... Yeah, I think that's it. I think Marcio is going to win this one.
Yeah, he can just play it.
Paulo dug so deep and couldn't find one of those Shatter the Skies.
Kenrith the Return King goes on the stack for Marcio Carvalho. Pay red. Everything gets haste and trample, and this is a lethal attack, and Marcio says, not so easy, my friend. And even things up at 1 game apiece.
Let's slow this down.
Paulo found the Banished Light for the 2nd Legion Warboss. You're like, okay, things are looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Things are looking pretty good. Hit so many cards to kind of help dig through his deck, but just couldn't find that Shatter the Sky.
Back to the drawing board goes Paulo Vitor.
And things change a lot here. I think sideboarding plans do...
I've got time.
Because I think that's the more interesting decisions that you make when you choose to sideboard in this match.
Are those staying on the I'm going to ignore Teferi plan? We'll find out shortly as game number 3 is incoming. This is a must-win for Marcio Carvalho. If he does not win this game, it will be Paulo Vitor Dominorosa as your champion.
Wow, and that title is real nice here. Paulo's got that Mystical Dispute. Everything's going to cost money. This is a great situation. I mean, we have Mystical Dispute and Kenrith on top. Cast a blue spell. Basically choose to play Narset, try to find some answers. Can also main phase Thirst for Meaning. You can't cast Thirst for Meaning either.
Absolutely massive game. Marcio fighting for his tournament life, trying to force a 3rd and final deciding match to see who becomes let's just do this the easy way and win this game right here and right now.
Paulo's got to be feeling good about no Legion Warboss.
Definitely. That could have gone a lot worse. Now he can actually pass the even on Marcio.
I wonder if Marcio's going to choose to wait a turn.
He is. He's going to wait a turn.
He likes matchups, though.
We've seen him keep it, and actually do really good work with it too. Here's Thirst from the end step, but no, says Marcio. Mystical Dispute is going to shut down the whole turn there for Paulo Vitor Dominarosa.
Well, you know that Paulo's Paulo was main feigning. Paulo, that's a sign that Paulo's digging. He doesn't have all the answers in hand.
Speaking of digging, here's Carson. Look at this, Birth of Bolinas.
But this does.
Here we go.
Can slam in Elspeth Conquers Death to get the Bone Crusher Giant off the battlefield, but then Marcio has the follow-up there with the Kenrith Haste attack for 7.
There seems to be
Yeah, the thing with this Jeskai Fires deck is, you can't get too low, because at any given moment, if you tap out, your opponent can just hit you for 6 or 5 or 7 of haste damage out of nowhere.
So there's Elspeth Conquers Death. Take out the Giant, but here comes Kenrith. With that 1 red mana available means an attack for 7 is incoming, and Paulo's already down to 9. Yeah. He is just getting down here. Marcio is not.
Now the nice thing here is Paulo does have Teferi. He can play Teferi, bounce Kenrith, and he can have Mystical Kenrith if Marcio chooses to play it again next turn.
Teferi Time Rattler's going to be there as well.
Oh no! High Taker, of course, everything costs 1 more. Paulo needed a land there off the Teferi drop to be able to actually cast Mystical Dispute, because Mystical Dispute costs 4 if you want to counter Kenrith.
Oh, because Kenrith is white. No discount on Mystical Dispute and Tiger.
And if Marcio draws a land, he can just win with Cavalier of Flame Pump.
That is exactly lethal, isn't it? Or it's even more. Wow. So what does Paulo do now?
I mean, he can't.